Disclaimer, there's parts of this video where the audio on my end is a little messed up, and I do apologize for it. I did everything that I could to fix it, so I'll try to do better next time. Okay, I love y'all. Bye. Happy Cinco de Mayo, everybody. I hope everybody is enjoying themselves, drinking on the finest of beers, also enjoying on the finest Mexican food in the history of the world. But that's not really important right now due to the fact that we have another issue on our hands. Last video that I covered, I kind of went over his podcast just a tiny bit, and he did mention stuff about his React channel. You know, how he provides intelligent discussion because he pauses the video and just gives his thoughts on certain things in the video. You know, normal React stuff. But that could just be immediately debunked by showing clips of him doing the goat laugh, regurgitating everything that's in the video, and so on and so forth. At this point, I think we should just say goodbye to our brains right now. Letting you know that this is just a courtesy call and it's only a matter of policy.
Morning, today indeed is May 5th, 2023, and I am Darkside Phil. How are you all today? I hope I find you well.
Phil, you're not a podcaster. You're just some annoying fuck on the internet that thinks that doing this makes him sound more professional. Then again, I could just do this all day and I never get tired of it, but you just do this for money. That and to attract drama.
And today is indeed Cinco de Mayo.
Thank you.
It is a holiday.
Well, no shit, it's a holiday.
Don't know what the holiday actually celebrates. I just know that for some reason we all like eat Mexican food. So that's what I'm doing today.
Yeah, sure you are, Phil. Sure you are. You know, because it's a business expense. Am I wrong?
I don't know about you. Maybe you actually know the purpose behind the day. Charles says, Cinco de Mayo is a yearly celebration held on May 5th of Mexico's victory over the Second French Empire at the Battle of Puebla in 1862. Well, there you go.
Huh, so Dent actually had his info given out. I mean, kudos. Surely nothing could go wrong with that. Oh. Right.
I've now had DSPReacts running for 3 months. Okay? And we've tried a lot of things. We threw a lot of things at the wall. I feel like some things have stuck. Some things have not.
I'm gonna, kind of fix that for you. None of it stuck. There we go. Fixed it.
The weekly Clips React show is the best thing because it's the thing that has gotten people engaged with the channel. People want to be members so that they can nominate clips. There's competition. It's exciting. This is what the lifeblood of the channel is. If I didn't do the weekly Clips React show, the channel wouldn't exist. You know?
Wait. So the Clips channel is competition for people that are members to try to get their clips out, but it's also the lifeblood of it, even though the majority of the fucking clips that you see or have watched, you either skip them because you were bored with it and everyone else was interested, you watch the things that were boring that your fans wanted you to skip, or you complain about it all the goddamn time, saying that, oh, this is boring. This is too dry for me. But if something like food pops up, this is the fourth reason, if food pops up, you have a little chubby in your pants and you go, oh my god, food.
So that 100% is working. I feel like it's getting better. We're going to keep that going.
Yeah, but the sad thing is, though, is that this channel, the Reacts channel, is the worst thing that you've done. All you did was took a vlog channel that you had for many fucking years and you quote-unquote rebranded it to your React channel while saying in the past that React commentary is lazy, requires no effort, and that people that do it are your filthy detractors that have no logical thought and that they're basement dwellers and mouth droolers.
Okay? Reviews. Reviews have been hit or miss. I started reviewing things with the Last of Us television show, and those reviews did well every week.
Well, the reason why is because that's something new. It's something that came out this year. That's the reason why the Last of Us reviews were doing quote-unquote moderately well. But continue on with the rest of it, Philip.
But since that show ended and I started reviewing older content such as movies, television series, they haven't done so well.
Yeah, you want to know why they hadn't done so fucking well? It's because they're old content. Peacemaker is 2 years old. The Whale, granted, that's a more recent film, Brendan Fraser won the Academy Award for Best Actor. That's why I'll say I'll give you a pass with that one. But the Joker movie, that movie came out 4 years ago. And you talked about that one. You're like, oh my God, it's such a good movie. The Godzilla versus King Kong movie that came out 2 years ago. You see what I mean, though? All the content is old. Nobody cares about it anymore. You just need to realize that if you talk about new shit, maybe you might get somewhere, but you're not a reviewer, though. That's the problem. You don't know how to review anything. You used to back in the day with video games, but you kind of don't have an original thought with your reviews. Just saying.
And it's the thing, like, people have asked me for years and years to do reviews. I start doing them. Oh, well, not that interesting. Well,
then again, they were asking for reviews based on video games, not movies, not shows. You fail to, read the room. People want you to do video game reviews. You don't do them. You claim that you do them, but you don't. And the reviews that you did make of them were fucking terrible. Like, no structure. All impromptu, which is never a good thing. And also, you follow things that other reviewers have said about a game. Or you try to take the contrarian route saying that this game sucks, even though everyone is praising it to hell and back.
No, why'd you ask for it, right? And the thing is, a lot of people are like, well, watch new movies. That's not even viable.
How is that not viable? Go watch a new movie. Go watch the new Mario Brothers movie that just came out last month. Oh, but that's not viable. Please, how is that not viable, Philbert?
Watch a new movie. You have to go to the theater. You have to schedule a time to do it outside of my streaming schedule. You have to spend big money on movie tickets and the like to go see it. So you're talking upwards. At a minimum, if I went by myself, it would be like $20.
Really, Phil? You're really making this all about money? And that, oh, I have to go when I'm not streaming. Oh, I can't do my grocery errands. That way Phil's day off will lose its meaning. Ah!
Last year I started doing React content, and I started doing marathon style with things such as the Wings of Redemption documentary, my own documentary, stuff like that.
Yeah, but the problem is with those documentaries is that you kept talking about yourself. You kept bragging more and more and more about yourself, not learning anything about fucking humility. You're not humbling yourself with it. Instead, it's like, oh yeah, Wings had that happen to it. Let me tell you about a time that people fucked me over. And Wings didn't like it. He said that it was the worst thing that he's ever watched. That you would not shut the fuck up. Also, the second video that he did, or was a part of, you kept getting information wrong. And he had to correct it. And he made more money on it. Meanwhile, the same thing in that same second content, or second video, you went on and on about trolls while fucking Wings was like, dude, just shut up. Keep watching the video. Oh, he's talking about trolls again. Okay.
And all that going on.
Wow. Rude.
People liked them. But what ended up happening was over the course of the year, I got tired of doing drama. And I wanted to break it up. So I started reacting to like Rob Gavigan's YouTube channel and stuff like that. And whenever I did that, people didn't really watch it that much. They weren't that interested.
Yeah, because you're finding stuff that nobody really cares about, Phil. The funny thing about it is that you always seem to attract drama. Anytime you have an emergency video that I'm the victim, guys. Look what's happening to my channel. I'm in jeopardy, guys. I'm the victim. Me, drama. And those click. You make more money that way. The problem is that you're too prideful and you want to say that, oh yeah, I don't do drama content, even though drama is always going to be attracted to you one way or fucking another.
So it really seems like the React stuff works well with drama, which is sad because I don't want to just do drama constantly. Okay?
Well, you have to do at this point. Desperate times call for desperate measures, Phil, so you're gonna keep doing it. I think there's some drama coming your way soon. So after he did his podcast, he started doing gaming stuff, which is very, very boring. Eventually, someone asked him about what Boogie was talking about. For those that don't know what has happened, Boogie was on the Side Scrollers podcast, and he mentioned that Phil was in talks with Boogie and Wings to do a podcast with them with a third party that wasn't Keemstar. Now, the funny thing about that, though, is that Phil caught wind of this and immediately placed himself like he was higher above the rest. Like, there was no talks about a podcast. There's no talks about a podcast. If you want the full details about that, I will link the video down below. The funniest thing about that, though, not only did Phil catch whiff of this, so did Keemstar. And then Keemstar decided to go on Twitter and essentially boot Phil out of the LOLCal podcast. Honestly, this is somewhat hilarious, but then Phil made a video trying to assert damage control very, very poorly. Now, before we get started with this video, I love the fact that he's just looking at his monitor like, oh shit, I have to cover this up. I have to do something about this. Okay, gotta think quickly.
What is going on, everyone? Phil here, and I'd like to clear the air. There's something going on right now, a little bit of misinformation all over the internet, and a lot of questions about, I guess, some stuff that has been said by various parties over the last couple of days regarding my possible involvement.
Well, then again, Boogie was the one that spilled the beans on the whole thing on side-scrollers, funnily enough. So, various parties, huh?
It came up on my Oblivion stream tonight, of all times, and I'm like, this is weird because it's derailing my stream. And obviously, you guys know me, if you are a fan of mine, I like to keep things on topic. I don't like to have to interrupt big gameplay sessions talking about nonsense that has nothing to do with said session. So what I decided tonight to do is, after I finished my stream, said, let me just make a video talking about what's really going on, at least from my perspective.
Well, then again, this is all just damage control. You saw that someone was talking about another podcast, the LOLCal podcast being revamped and revived, and you didn't like that. So essentially, you were just going on and on and on about how Keemstar was this, Keemstar was that. Essentially, you're coping and seething over Keemstar.
So that way people know the truth about my side of everything going on, and that way I'm going to leave it at that.
Well, then again, anytime you say something that's quote-unquote truthful, it's 10% truth, 90% bullshit. But please, continue.
And I really don't feel like derailing my other content talking about this, so I'm making a special video. I'll probably set this as my featured video here on DSP Gaming for a day or two, just so enough people can see it.
Or in other words, he's going to use it to boost views so he can make more extra money. That's why he did it. When he had that emergency, when he had those copyright strikes, which, funnily enough, he never brings this up ever again. Anytime he has an emergency, he'll always have it as a feature on his channel. And that gets a lot of clicks. So, he's trying to damage control for drama to make money.
And hopefully this will quell any rumors or anything, alright?
It's just going to make more. Don't even try to say it's going to stop them.
So here's the deal. I guess this all started where, I guess, Boogie went on a podcast. It might have even been the Side Scrollers podcast. I haven't even really confirmed that.
Bullshit. You already know what's going on. No guessing involved. You already knew because someone told you that it was Boogie and they told you where. I love how he's like, well, I guess that's what happened. It's no guessing involved, dude. We already know.
And in an interview was talking about, the whole idea of me, him, and Wings being on a podcast that was going to have Keemstar's involvement. And I guess Boogie still has some resentment there where he's upset. He says things like, I cost him and Wings $50,000.
You did. You basically fucked them out of money. And no, if you actually would have watched the interview with Boogie, he actually said that you were trying to start a podcast without Keemstar's involvement from another third party. So essentially, and it's all that, oh, it's about me, about him, him, that's what they said, trying to make it up to them for ruining their chances of making money, when in reality, you're trying to give Keemstar the middle finger by saying, I could do this better than you, motherfucker. Try and stop me.
All right, that is completely untrue. I can't cost...
And I love he was about to say, oh, I can't cost someone $50,000. Yes, you can. Even though they never received the money, you costed them the opportunity to make said money.
Someone money when I'm not involved with something. All right? What apparently the idea was that Keemstar had is that he wanted to do what he called a LOLCal podcast, that he wanted to have it be me and Wings and Boogie, and he was apparently going to pay us $50,000 each as a signing bonus, and we were going to each own a certain percent of the show, and his role was that I guess he wanted to push the show to various platforms and try to get it on there and try to get advertising and try to get product placements and try to syndicate it and essentially make money off of us doing a show.
Phil, all of you were going to make money. He was going to be the producer. He was producing the show. You, Wings, and Boogie were all going to be the platformers. You were going to be the stars of this podcast, and you were going to get a cut, royalties even, of that show. What you seem to think is like, oh, I guess he was trying to do this, this, and this. It's like, Phil, that's what he was going to do. Keemstar is an entrepreneur. He's a businessman. He knows business, something that your failing business degree doesn't even know about.
Okay? Now, you guys know me. If you're a fan of mine, I don't like Keemstar. I don't like the content he puts out, nor do I like what he stands for as a person. I think that he's kind of a despicable person.
Well, then again, everybody thinks that. Honestly, if Keemstar came up to me offering $50,000, I would take the money. Not because, oh, he's a despicable person, blah, blah, blah. No, it's like, it's a business opportunity. It's to help a person grow as a content creator. Sure, it'll be for different reasons, but money is money, dude. You have to take it. You have to whore yourself out in order to make money. Something that you do, but in a piss poor way.
Yes, I think personally he has bad morals or has no morals, and I don't stand for that. I don't want any involvement with the guy. I never wanted to. I would never do business with this man.
Then why did you DM him after he told you to? All you had to do was answer the fucking phone, but you didn't. Instead, you wanted to make this big escapade. Like, I told him I was streaming at this time, but he didn't listen to me. And then Keemstar got pissy and went over to your stream, asked why you didn't answer the phone. It's like, can I just ban you now, Keemstar? And you banned him. All because you were trying to hide the fact that it was $50,000, and if you receive that money, you can't beg for money from your fans anymore. Just saying.
I already told my story about how last year he was trying to reach me. We had a complete disconnect where he wouldn't even call me at the assigned times he was supposed to call me to even talk about said podcast. So I never knew about it. I never knew what it was. I never agreed to be a part of it. The discussion never even happened.
Yes, you did. He gave you details. He's like, hey, I'm going to do a podcast. Hey, DSP, DM me. Can you email me? Dude, just DM me. Oh, no, I prefer email. Okay, $50,000 is going bye-bye if you don't DM me within 5 minutes. That's how it all happened, and you just want to change the story, twisting the scene again. You always tend to do that to make yourself look like the higher ground, essentially. The bigger man, while Keemstar is lower than you. Meanwhile, Keemstar is essentially swimming with money while enjoying his young girlfriend. While you have to enjoy your hippo of a wife.
Okay? That's simple. So, I mean, it's kind of weird that Keem talked directly to Boogie and Wings about it first. Apparently they had agreed, decided to talk to me last, and it didn't work out because he couldn't even contact me, nor did I have any desire to do business with him anyway. Sounds like he was promising something to them he had no right to promise.
No, that is false. Wings was actually contacted by Boogie. Boogie gave him the spiel what's going on. Wings agreed. Even though Wings had bad blood with Keemstar, he agreed to do it. Keemstar's job was to contact you. And much to his frustration, it didn't work. That's why there are multiple videos on Twitter from Keemstar talking about how you're at level 1. And that's what branded the Level 1 podcast. Because, oh, fuck you, Keem. I'm using this as a way to get better. My King of Hate moniker is not relevant, but I'm going to imply it because I'm doing this tactic. Really? It was a very bad tactic, dude.
You know, oh, I'm going to give you $50,000 if Darkside Phil will do the show too. Well, I'm not doing the show. I had no intention of ever doing it with this man involved. So I don't know how that's me costing them money. That's Keemstar's fault.
It's not his fault. Everyone else was on board but you. So it was your fault. You're trying to twist it as to be like, oh no, it's Keemstar's fault because he cost them money. He promised them the money. I didn't. Phil, like I said before, you costed them the opportunity to make $50,000 at the beginning, and then they get royalties. And now they're doing it without you. Fuck. Keemstar has Boogie and Wings training to fight, and they're going to make some money off of that too. And also lose a little bit of weight from it. So they're benefiting more from Keemstar than you are sitting in front of a monitor fucking begging for money day after day after day until you have your day off.
For essentially having an idea and not even seeing if it's something that would be possible, okay?
It was possible. You just didn't want to do it because I hate Keemstar.
Okay? He promised them the world, he overpromised, and he underdelivered. How much have I talked about that in my own content, that you don't do that, right?
You don't, because you do the same fucking thing.
So quite frankly, I have no involvement in this whatsoever. It gets brought up on my interview with Side Scrollers back in March, and
You know, I'm like, I don't even know what this has to do with anything. I don't fucking care about it. I don't like the guy. I don't want involvement with him. I have no desire to talk to him ever again.
The reason why it was brought up from the Side Scrolls podcast for the interview with you was because they wanted to hear your side of it. That's why it was brought up. But as soon as your internet went down, they brought in Keemstar. They got his involvement with it. Keemstar essentially warned both Craig and Adam not to do anything with them because you essentially lie and weasel your way out of it. And as soon as they're like, hey, do you want to talk to Keemstar? You and me are like, no, fuck Keemstar. I don't want to talk to him. Oh, we got Keemstar anyway. Hi, Keemstar.
All right. So, Boogie bringing this up, listen, I can understand if the guy's strapped for cash, he needs the help, and he's sad he didn't get the $50K, but I don't really think it's fair that that's put on my shoulders.
It is put on your shoulders, and they brought it up in that interview, too. And essentially, Boogie was showing compassion towards Wings and himself, and also Keemstar, because he actually had involvement with it, and that you fucked it up.
I had no involvement with this show whatsoever from the start. I didn't even know what the offer really was because I never talked to Keem about it, nor did I desire to, period.
You knew about the offer because he posted it on Twitter publicly that if you didn't get your ass in a DM within 5 minutes, $50,000 was going to go into the wind. So you knew about it. You're lying about it to your audience like you always tend to do.
Okay? So anyway, that's part one. Now part two is
Yeah, part one. Part one of the bullshit saga. Part two. Whatever the fuck you're about to say.
Yes, Boogie had mentioned on this interview, or whatever it was.
It was an interview. Stop bullshitting your audience.
That we had been having discussions behind the scenes about possibly starting our own podcast. And when we're talking about that, we're talking about Boogie, Wings, and me. Okay? Here's the truth of the matter from my perspective is we have had very early discussions. I mean, I had been talking to Boogie about this, last year, saying, I don't want to do anything with Keem, but if you want to do something with me, just you and me, we could have a conversation. We could do our own show. We could just interview each other just for the benefit of each other's channels, whatever you would want to do. And we kind of shot back and forth about it for a while. And in fact, I'll be honest with you guys, I was thinking of maybe interviewing Boogie for my new DSPReacts channel at some point this year.
That honestly would have been a terrible idea. The only reason why you would want Boogie involved with your show is because you want to get growth from it. People know who Boogie is. People know who Wings is. They know all these lol cows. You just wanted to use him for personal benefit. Nothing else. And the whole thing about spitting back and forth with a podcast idea, you know what? Great in theory, but all you were trying to do with that is essentially piss off Keemstar in a sense, because that's what ended up happening later, the tweet that I showed already. It's all just bullshit ways of trying to get back at Keemstar for, I don't know how, for ruining your life, I suppose.
But that didn't work out. As you know, my interview show is kind of on hiatus for various reasons. So,
yeah, because you were hit with hardball questions, not softball questions like fucking the quartering did for you.
It just kind of cooled down and there was no real discussion. Then all of a sudden, out of the blue, I got contacted by a third party basically saying that this person was representing kind of Boogie and Wings and was going to be the third party to put the whole thing together. No, it was not Keemstar. And in fact, the way it was pushed to me was this will have zero Keemstar involvement whatsoever.
Yeah, but here's the problem, though. Who's the third party? Do they have the financial backing like Keemstar? The problem is that you won't tell anybody who the third party is. It's the same thing with the copyright strikes. You don't want to give out information about who did what to you. That way people can help you. Instead, you want to hide that information because the trolls and detractors will use that information against me and weaponize it so that they can take me down. We just want context to what you're talking about, and if we wonder who it is, then we could probably make our own theories or discussions about why.
So I'm not arranging for any podcast. Someone reached out to me as a neutral third party saying, I'm working on this with Boogie and Wings, and we want you on it, and we'd like to do a show together, yada, yada, yada. And maybe a few back and forth emails and discussions. We have not met. We have not discussed anything. Like, literally, this is the earliest planning stages of anything you could possibly even think of, okay?
Yeah, this is the early stages. Yeah, sure it is. Now take a swig of your gin water, chew on it a bit, and shut up. That's the thing. I don't understand why he chews on it. Like, he chews on the water. It's not a slushy. That's the only exception I can think of, though, where you can slurp on a liquid and chew on it because it's ice. That's just water. It's a liquid. Why are you chewing on it like it's mashed potatoes?
But really, we haven't worked anything out. We don't know exactly how it's going to work. We don't know what the schedule would be. We don't even know, I don't even know how we would make it happen yet. What we need to do is kind of sit down and put our heads together. And what I've been told is that could happen and probably will happen after this fight that Wings and Boogie are, I guess, going to have sometime this month. I literally don't even know when it is. I think it's within a week or two. I have no clue because it has Keemstar's involvement. I don't care. I want nothing to do with it.
We get it. You don't want anything to do with Keemstar. We got that. Get rid of that Cope Seeth Malt mentality over Keemstar. We get it. But here's another problem with that, though. Since Keemstar got a whiff of it, he can find out who that third party is and basically ruin that chance for you. Because essentially, Keemstar wants you out and actually said that you're out. So they're trying to find another lolcow, essentially, to bring in and talk with Wings and Boogie. A lot of people are saying that they want LTG. A lot of people are wanting Review Tech USA to be a part of it.
So I'm not paying attention to it. But hey, the fight goes down. Hopefully both of them are healthy and safe after the fight. And then I get contacted again about, hey, let's make this happen. Let's talk. Let's have a meeting. Then I'm all for it. Okay?
Yeah, but you won't let that happen, though. Because also, you said to Keemstar, why is it you're going to bring in two big people to do the fight? They're not healthy. You're going to ruin their chances of anything. It's like, why care about them now?
Now, in the meantime, there was a little bit more conversation. For example, one of the things discussed was that, they figured I don't want to call it the Lolcow cast, to which I responded.
The Lolcow cast? Phil, you're a lolcow. And you're in the pasture with the rest of them.
And said, yeah, number one, I don't want to be involved in anything that makes fun of us, degrades us, or makes us feel like shit, and calling us lolcows does that. I think that's stupid. If we're going to start our own show, it should be a fun show. It's different to have a little bit of self-teasing. It's another thing to make an entire show fully degrading and catering to trolls. I don't want to be involved in that. That's number one.
Well, that's just because you're afraid that detractors will actually come out and actually provide truth bombs against you, and you wouldn't know what to do, and you can't ban them.
Number two, I guess Keemstar had originally intended to call this podcast the Lolcow Cast, to which I kind of said, I don't think it would be right for us to try to use that name. Keemstar absolutely did come up with that name, and to use that, he could definitely have some kind of a stake to interject and say, hey, I have a problem with that. That was my name, and that was my idea. He's right. I actually, from a business perspective, could see having an issue with someone using that name that someone else came up with.
Hey, the only time you ever agreed with Keemstar, which, honestly, that's just a way for you to save face. But here's another problem with that, though, Phil. Even though he might have called it the Lolcow Podcast, he would still talk to you, Wings, and Boogie about the name. He actually just said that that was just a name in progress. It was going to be something completely different.
So, in that regard, I think we should call the show something different. And I did state that in a couple emails, but that was it. I never had any direct discussion with these people about it. It's just initial back and forth emails, and that's it.
It's funny how you would have emails about this shit, but when people were having their channels taken down, and also yours taken down by a copyright strike, you immediately try email and it doesn't work. But meanwhile, you could talk to this third party, which you have no fucking idea who it might be, about ideas about a podcast. Phil, what if they're trying to use this to humiliate you? Oh no, you didn't think about that because I need more views, guys.
And that's that. That's literally it. There's been no major discussion about, money or how the show will work or anything really like that. Again, we didn't even have an initial meeting yet. I'm waiting for that fight to go down and hopefully these guys to be safe afterward, and then for us to sit down and put our heads together and try to figure out exactly how it would work.
From what you're saying, the emails are essentially trying to plan the event or trying to plan the podcast. So you're planning it. The meeting might not happen until later, though, because, like you said, the fight will happen. But then you're faking sympathy, like, oh, I hope they're safe with it, even though you don't give two shits about Wings and Boogie.
And that's it. So, really, there's been nothing to mention. I figured, what's the point of talking with my audience about it until we've actually sat down and solidified some more details and even know that it's going to happen. I'm the kind of person, as you know, I don't want to overpromise and underdeliver.
You always overpromise and underdeliver on everything, dude. You try to say, like, a video game is like, oh, it's going to be the best sell. It's going to be the big go-to for DSP gaming. Or this video is going to be the best thing to react for DSPReacts. You overpromise, but it underdelivers. especially during your internet historian marathon. That was a big underdelivery right there.
Why hype up the possibility of a podcast with these guys if we haven't even sat down to see if it's viable yet?
Hype it up because if it happens, people already know it's going to go down. That's the same thing with a video game. We know nothing about a video game, but they're going to hype it up anyway to try to bring in interest. That's the key word, interest. If people are interested, it sparks curiosity. They want to know what it will be, how it will be done, etc., etc.
How to make it happen, how to make it work. We haven't. So why talk about it publicly? Boogie apparently chose to talk about it publicly first. So now people are asking me all about it. So I wanted to tell you my perspective, what's going on.
Yeah, but the perspective is kind of sketchy. That's the only thing, though. When you're trying to say, oh, I'm going to give my side, my truthful side of it, it's still sketchy, though. You're just doing this, and you actually admitted that you're stealing Keemstar's idea. You implied that heavily.
Again, as long as this is a show that's not going to be 100% about degrading ourselves, catering to trolls, but instead having a fun show that's maybe about three guys talking about games and pop culture and life in general and news. And yes, it's okay to razz yourself and to make fun of yourself, but at the same time, not to be 100%, toxic, right?
You are the pure definition of toxic. And also, what you're saying is contradicting itself. Oh, I don't want it to be where we self-degrade ourselves, but I don't mind if we razz ourselves a little bit. Phil, they're both the same thing. You're poking fun and insulting each other in a joking manner. That's the whole thing. If you have good chemistry, you can do that. But the problem is that you don't have any chemistry with these people.
I'd be down for that, something like that. In fact, I would welcome something like that. Most of my content's just me talking directly to my audience or to myself. So to actually have a nice interaction with a couple of other gentlemen, I think would be pretty cool.
Yeah, but the thing is, though, you don't talk to your audience unless they give you money, you ban them, or you're just sitting there, dead air. That's all your content is. It will just be dead air and you going, meh.
All right, just being honest. Now, the last part of this puzzle is that tonight, as I'm streaming Oblivion, someone asked me the Boogie question, and I basically gave the answer I just gave, just not in as much detail.
No, you actually didn't give the answer in detail. Then again, both that and this weren't in detail. It was just a way to insult Keemstar. That's all that was just a big fuck you to Keemstar while you're coping and seething and molding.
All of a sudden, someone starts posting up in my chat tonight, oh, Keemstar just tweeted, DSP is off the lolcowcast because he's not responding to emails.
Yep, and that tweet, like I showed before, I'll even show it again right here. Editor Me put the tweet in. Thank you, Editor Me. You did so good. You deserve yourself a bottle of scotch or whatever you want to drink.
What the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah, that's the same question I ask every time you say things that are very subhuman. That's the only thing I ask every time you say something that makes no logical sense, dude.
Have I not made it abundantly clear on the Side Scrollers podcast, in my own content after the fact? I have publicly stated time after time after time after time, I want no involvement whatsoever with Keemstar. Zero.
And I'm going to just repeat what I just said. Cope, seethe, mold.
I don't want to be told about him. I don't want to be in content with him. I don't want to have any business
hang on.
After time, I want no involvement whatsoever with Keemstar. Zero. I don't want to be told about him. I don't want to be in content with him.
Did you mean in contact with him? Or in content, like making videos with him?
I don't want to have any business relationship. I want to be left out of his mouth, period. I have no desire to have any associations with this man or any of his businesses at all. Now,
Phil, I'm going to tell you this. For someone that claims to know business, does not know business at all. If you want to get in business with somebody, you have to get over things. Sure, it'll be a bad business decision, but as long as you're making money off of it, that bad decision could be your banking point. Not breaking point, unless you choose to make it your breaking point. At the end of the day, Phil wants to be like, I don't know why my content isn't doing well. I don't want to do drama, but yet ends the fucking night by talking about drama. Bringing up Keemstar and saying he wants nothing to do with Keemstar. We get that Phil doesn't want to talk about Keemstar, but at this point, it's become a broken fucking record. going on and on and on about how Keemstar is a terrible human being, terrible businessman, and yet Phil wants to say that he's better at business than Keemstar is. The problem with that is that Keemstar actually makes money, while Phil has to beg constantly just to try to make ends meet. Phil, you don't really get business at all, and you don't understand what Keemstar's intentions were, and whenever that tweet came out, it just pissed you off even more and more and more. And I do hope that Wings and Boogie do go on to do that LolCalc podcast without Phil, and they'll bring someone else that's more interesting, because knowing Phil, him saying that he was the best reason or the only reason why that podcast would be, it just shows how narcissistic and vain someone can truly be.